Howdy, howdy, fellow movie watchers, and welcome back for another show, Wisco Movie Watchers Podcast, brought to you by PTE Creative. As always, we are your hosts, Evan Davies, and our resident Oscars expert, Davies, in our final 5-year retrospective prior to the Oscars this year. Who knows if we're going to even go back further in history? Well, I'm sure we will at some time, but this is our final 5 years of the last 25 years that we've been covering on a monthly basis. Covering the years 2019 to 2023. And woof, Dylan, there's not a whole lot to cover as much as people might think.
Yeah. Couple really good years and then a couple stinkers.
Yeah, and it's an interesting
it's just like every year there's some peaches in every year, and then there's always somewhere you just don't feel them.
Yeah, and this is clearly a reflection of, and we'll get to 2020 is obvious what is the derailment, and we'll talk about that. And if you don't know what the obvious derailment is, probably have legitimately been living under a rock.
Yeah.
But 2019 is kind of the last of the traditional years that we've covered, and then it's kind of, that's the end of an era, and then it's a new era.
Yeah.
From that
standpoint. Just a couple things on the 2019 ceremony. A couple rule changes. Foreign language film became international film because they thought it was more inclusive to do that.
Okay.
Even though the rule was still, I think the rule is still, movie has to be at least 80% non-English. I think that's the rule. Yeah. And then they finally made it.
That's just one of the things that immediately people are going to be a bunch of fucking snowflakes changing shit, and you just go, I don't think that really needs to change. But
it doesn't matter. And then they finally approved the rule of makeup and hairstyling 5 nominees instead of 3.
I noticed that.
I was positive. Finally got that right. And then 2019 is where you really see Netflix going hard for.
Yeah.
Because the year before, which I forgot to mention, is 2018, is when Roma got nominated for Best Picture, which was Netflix's first for Best Picture. And then 2019 is where you see, like, okay, yeah, Netflix is going hard.
Yeah, it's very interesting because I don't associate them with quality film, so.
Yeah, they're really hit and miss, especially, like, their award season stuff is very hit or miss. Like, I guess it's just like every other studio where, like, you can see award season bait stuff that, like, just really misses the mark at times.
I think it becomes abundantly clear it's bait, because that's not what Netflix is known for, what Netflix is. And I think that's even better reflected right now into their current model of what they're doing. 2019, they're still trying to say we're king of the movie, but yet we're already in the era of, we're already seasons into House of Cards and Stranger Things and a lot of the original great television products that they had. And by the time of the 2019, the Oscars for 2019, we already have The Witcher coming out. Like, this is still a television first original model, and then they just collect movies. So then for them to be like, oh no, we're Oscar, we're an Oscar worthy studio, you're like, this feels very trying to bait people into believing you are something. And then when you look at their current model, they're clearly trying to get into the television game even more with live sports, hosting, live boxing, Christmas Day, football games, Monday Night Raw on a live basis every single Monday night. They're like, no, we're television again. It's like, then what are you? So when Netflix does say, no, we make these great products, you're like, it feels pretty baity. Okay, interesting. But, I mean, good on them for believing that they can do it. If you can do it, you can make it work, great. It's just a lot of the time, Oscar bait is usually what annoys people away from the Oscars. is because they know you're gunning for an award half the time, and it doesn't feel like you're trying to please an audience, and that's why I think
Yeah,
people don't like it.
and that's one of the things I will give. That's one of the nicer things about the Oscars is like in the past 20 years, you've Oscars kind of move away from that standard.
Yeah.
Like there has been a lot less of that kind of like typical Oscar bait movie stuff
Well, especially
in
because it's become a term.
nominees.
It's become a term where people
Yeah,
are like, yeah, this is
exactly.
an Oscar bait movie, and everyone, half of the audience just goes, cool. They don't even watch it because they just go, what's the point? And some of that's wrong because there's a lot of good stuff that is Oscar bait movie. There's some of it is not. But it's difficult in a 2019 year because think of the juggernauts. You have the ultimate fan pleasing movie, possibly of all time, as the number one hit at the box office this year. To set the stage, you have Avengers Endgame, which is legitimately almost 15 years of film building to one event. Like, like rewarding fandom and rewarding pleasing an audience, right? And half the movie is built to be these like giant crowd reactions of people celebrating movies together. Then you have the quote unquote live action Lion King.
Yeah.
Toy
I was gonna say the fact that we called that was live action is an absolute joke.
yeah. Toy Story 4, Frozen 2, Captain Marvel, Star Wars Rise of Skywalker, Spider-Man Far From Home, Aladdin, again, live action. Joker, It Chapter 2, Jumanji Next Level, Us, Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw, John Wick 3, Parabellum, How to Train Your Dragon 3, Detective Pikachu, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Shazam, Knives Out, Dumbo, Aquaman. How many of those titles say these aren't for an audience? None of them. They're all gunning for a specific audience. They're all really trying to please that audience. Whether they do that or not is a different story. But they're all specifically going for something to try to please an audience. So then when you have Oscar bait coming out, you're like, well,
Yeah. I mean, and
I'm sorry, Aquaman came out in
yeah,
2018, but it got more gross in 2019. So,
yeah, that's. So, do you have any technical changes?
I think a shout out or a nomination for film editing for Avengers Endgame is very worthwhile with how much interplay there is. I don't think it. I'm not saying it deserves to win, but I think a nomination for film editing is worthy for Avengers Endgame. Uh, and then I have production design. I would have. I would have chosen Jojo Rabbit. I think the production design of Jojo Rabbit perfectly encapsulates this underlying dread of Germany where you know the other shoe's going to drop. When you watch that
I
film,
love Jojo Rabbit so much.
it's a tremendous film. And when you just look around at the sets and how things are designed of the film, it perfectly encapsulates both this childlike wonder of this warped Hitler Youth boy and why he would think this is such a great fantasy, while also capturing this horrid underlying dirt and grit and grime of Nazi Germany at the end. And it perfectly encapsulates both, and that is such a ridiculous dichotomy that I think the production design deserves that award. It's just
Yeah, it
so
went
good.
to Once Upon a Time, which I'm okay with that winning.
Yeah, I have no issue if it wins. It just feels a lot like that one felt when I read it, I just went, this feels like it's a movie about old Hollywood.
Yeah.
So it wins because it's about old, like, you know how like a bunch of people anytime like a movie that celebrates the past of movies magically gets a ton of awards and you're like,
But
cool.
yeah,
I'm not saying it's not worthy. It
but
feels like part of that ilk.
there is a lot of like beautiful like 19 late 1970s, like beautiful, like LA, like grimy
Yeah.
70s stuff, which is really awesome to see. And like I remember what they call it in the movie, the ranch they go to and stuff is really fun to see.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the Manson Ranch and all that. Like, I'm okay with that winning, but I do. The thing is, Jojo Rabbit. That's the one I would have picked for film editing, just from like immediately from the jump where you have the Beatles playing and it's a montage of Hitler. Like
Yeah.
just from the jump like that, I love that immediately.
It's a creative film. I think
Yeah,
without question, Jojo Rabbit is the best Taika Waititi film.
yeah.
There's
I'm
bad.
really glad it won screenplay because that was the most fun I had in that year for like going to the actual movies.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the few that actually saw movie theater that year.
Yeah.
Um, 'Cause that was I remember if I was in New Hampshire at that point, think I was, and I was, like, really far away from any movie theater,
Yeah.
so it was, like, really hard to get to any movie.
Yeah,
Um,
You were still in New Hampshire at that point, for sure.
yeah. I think the closest movie theater to me that actually showed movies like Jojo Rabbit, I think I drove 3 hours to
Jesus
see it.
Christ.
Yeah, or, like, 2.5, something like that. So, yeah, it was quite a drive. Yeah, it sucked. But that just shows how much I wanted to see that, and 1917 I also saw in the theater that year.
Yeah. I mean,
Uh, the on the only other one I had down for technical changes, I would have really loved to see a nomination, original screenplay for Us. Again, just
fair.
horror movies never getting love.
Yeah, and Us is a very unique screenplay. To
Yeah.
say the least, is a good idea behind it. I have no beef with that.
I think it's just as good as Get Out.
Wow. That's high praise.
I I think it's honestly, I think it's in terms of a horror movie,
Yeah.
I think it's better than Get Out. I don't think it's as good on socio-political level,
Yeah.
like commentary level, but in terms of like actual horror scariness level, it's better. It
Okay.
does scare me a lot more.
Admittedly, I've yet to see Us.
Oh,
I've seen
it's
so many
great.
clips and I know the twist. So I'm kind of like
Yeah, that kind of ruins it.
and that was it's kind of like the Sixth Sense. Once you know the twist, you're like, okay.
Yeah. I mean, it still is like even without the twist, I think you'd still enjoy it.
Yeah.
'Cause it's not like the twist is like the pivotal thing in that movie.
Yeah. It's
But
certainly just it's something that takes it away. Well, ironically, I've actually done a lot of work creatively around Us. So the youth center I worked at in Chicago, they every year the art students built a haunted house out of the locker room. And we had two locker rooms side by side, so for their Halloween fest, they would build two different haunted houses. It was a lot of fun. And the first one, the opening sequences of it were all based on Us. Someone made this beautiful mural, like giant cutout that was I don't know, like 6 by 8 something, but really crazy, really big, of the mask reveal of Lupita Nyong'o's character, and a lot of like mirrors around and things of that nature. And the 2 years I was there, I always ended up somehow going from "Hey, I have extra time, let me go help" to "Evan knows what he's doing and it's taking a load off our plate. Screw it, just let him go do it." so so it's just me working with all the teenagers a lot of the time, just being like,
yeah.
"Yeah, fine, whatever, just let Evan do it." So
Yeah, I mean, that movie's kind of built for haunted house.
and then I learned a lot about the film because of that, and so I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh, it sucks 'cause I wanted to see that because like really, I love Get Out, so I'd love to see it, but once once half the movie's been told to you, and you
Yeah.
know the twist, you're kind of like, okay, well, one day." And it's always on that again, that endless docket of one of these days. One of these days I'll get to it.
Yeah, it's a fun movie. Do you have any other technical?
I would have changed visual effects to Avengers Endgame because half that movie is visual effects and they're seamless. They're truly seamless in that film.
I would argue probably more than half that movie is visual effects.
Oh yeah, but that's the one thing is if you're gonna have a movie that's so much previs, one of the things you have to give credit for is the fact that the visual effects, if they work, clearly are fucking good. So
I want to say, I want to say that movie has like 2,300 visual effects shots in it, which like that's an insane amount of shots that need visual effects.
and beyond that,
Like
they're creating full
in a
armies
movie.
of CG characters, and they all look incredibly impeccable. There isn't a whole lot. There isn't anything in there where you just go,
Yeah. I think
I don't know about that
I
one.
think it went to 1917 because like we were talking about last episode, it goes back to the Interstellar. What was the other one that we talked about?
Oh God, I can't remember. Guardians of the Galaxy, was it?
Oh, I'll go. I can look real quick. But the Interstellar thing where we were talking about, oh, it was First Man and Interstellar,
Yeah,
where they're picking the things that uh, show the reality of the world more than the fantastical stuff.
yeah,
So it's like 1917. You wouldn't guess that has like tons of visual effects, but it actually does because that's what's making it a one take movie.
yeah,
Is visual effects. They're hiding it completely, and it seems completely inconspicuous, but really, there's a
yeah,
lot of visual effects in that movie.
yeah.
So
I mean, I understand the logic. I just
yeah,
in
it
a
is one of those things that we talked about.
in a 3 hour epic, that's that is
I know.
solely based off of visual effects. That's the one of all the things of this year that I was
Yeah,
baffled by.
I'd
I
be
was just like,
curious.
how? Come on.
I'd be curious to look at like the actual visual effects, like whatever guild they have to see their awards,
Yeah.
how they actually split it up. Yeah, I'd be curious to look at
I
theirs.
mean, I can't believe they didn't
Um,
win for the portal scene alone. Where like
yeah,
all the people are coming out for
I'm
the
sure.
Avengers and they have all of
Yeah,
Thanos' army. I'm just like, come
I'm sure
on.
I'm sure they split it up by genre, something
Yeah.
in their actual guild awards. But jumping into the bigger categories here, you got Bong Joon-ho winning Best Director for Parasite, actor Joaquin Phoenix for Joker, Renee Zellweger winning her second Oscar for Judy, Brad Pitt finally winning an Oscar for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Laura Dern winning supporting actress for Maverick. What have you seen out of those?
Sadly, Joker. And half of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Like on a
Like it?
watch through. Oh, I'm not saying I don't like what I saw.
Oh, I thought you turned it off.
But I think I think there was a group of people watching it as I was coming home from work one day or something like that, or like Ab had a few people over when they were watching it and I came through like halfway. And I've seen bits and pieces of the movie as well, so I'm kind of like, well, I get it. I got it,
Have you
you know.
seen the ending?
Yes. That's
Oh,
fine.
okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, the ending is absolutely bonkers.
Oh yeah, it's a Tarantino
Completely
movie. Of course,
insane.
it's bonkers. Everything since *Inglourious Bastards* is just let's just make some wild shit happen.
Yeah, I love his historical rewriting stuff.
Yeah,
It's so great.
it's fun. So yes, I've seen a good amount of it. I have no issue with that. The only I think worthy of nomination, I could see Taika Waititi for Best Supporting Actor for Jojo Rabbit. That performance is so understated, sinister, and the heel turn.
That's one that I didn't think of, but I would have been okay with it. Yeah.
And I also, again, I didn't watch enough of them to define this as my opinion. Scarlett Johansson and Jojo Rabbit. I'm glad she got a nomination for that. That's the one.
Yes.
Like, if you said you have to pick, that would have been the one I picked.
Double nominee too.
Yeah,
Best actress. Well,
and that was one where I
Marriage
just went,
Story.
you know what? I just think it's. She's one of those actors that started off as so clearly.
Well, she was so clearly typecast into the like X-Pot kind of thing.
Yeah, she was just so clearly typecast as this is the hot girl that goes into movies, right?
Exactly.
And when you finally get to see her act, you're like, God damn, girl.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
and Marriage Story like is great. Like Marriage Story is what I don't know if you've seen it, but it's like kind of pretty much just like a modern day Kramer versus Kramer.
Yeah.
Just like Dustin Hoffman and
Meryl
Meryl Streep
Streep. Yeah.
putting on an acting uh like
Clinic,
yeah,
essentially.
pretty much. It's just those two like being great at acting. It's just like Adam Driver and
I was gonna say this Adam Driver.
Scarlett.
It's Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson, right?
Yeah, it's just those two being great. So it's just like they're both great
I
actors.
mean, it's good that he had that in the same year of Rise of Skywalker because
That's true.
he's the only thing about Rise of Skywalker I find to be somewhat tolerable.
He's
And
the
it's
only part of the whole trilogy that I
yeah, and the sad part is he has such a petulant, stupid character that it's when he gets to be the few times in the movie he gets to be subtle or calculating. Those are when it's fun to watch the sequel trilogy, is to watch him work. But when he has to just be petulant 12-year-old, I didn't get what I wanted, throwing tantrums, Kylo Ren, you're like,
yeah, again, that's why I don't like Star Wars.
I mean, also the last Star Wars episode. We're recording this episode on January 16th, just to get in there, right? And our Star Wars Revenge of the Sith episode is the last episode that's been released since doing this. And naturally, it started off slow, and naturally the views are coming in, and we're getting the hate watchers. So it's always fun to do Star Wars. We got one comment on that, and they're just like, "You guys are delusional." And I just went, "I love our Star Wars episodes. I just love this because it doesn't matter what you do in any opinion you have on Star Wars is wrong, so it doesn't matter in terms of
Yeah,
the
that's
internet.
true.
Anybody on the internet will just tell you your opinion's wrong on Star Wars somehow,
Yeah,
and it's
yeah,
just
that's
funny to think about it in the context of Adam Driver. He's doing so much in that sequel trilogy. He's trying so fucking hard,
yeah. I'll give him that.
and yet there's just a lot of not good around him, man.
Yeah. The only change I had is one that she was not nominated in Nyong'o. I would have loved to see her win for Us.
Okay.
Great in that fucking movie.
Yep. From what I've seen in the
But
clips of it, yeah.
again, horror doesn't get any love. So
Apparently not.
is that what she is good in Judy, but it's one of those typical Oscar movies.
Sure.
But like I can't say like she doesn't deserve it. Like she is great in the movie.
Sure.
And it is like we talked about. I can't remember what. Oh, it was when we were talking about Wizard of Oz for the uh, for our top 100 movies, and you had Wizard of Oz.
Yeah.
We were talking about Judy Garland's like super tragic life.
Yeah.
Like, and this is like showing Judy Garland in like the later ages of her life. It's like, yeah, it's a pretty tragic story.
Yeah.
She does a good job portraying that.
Also, check out our top 100. As of release of once this episode was released, you'll be able to see 91 through 100 of both our top 100. So go check that out. It's a lot of fun. We're just loving movies.
Yeah,
Good
and
stuff.
then just a couple, not ones that I actually had down myself, but just a couple things that people had found that were subs. Shia LaBeouf in Honey Boy,
Actual
who was
cannibal.
he's great in that movie, where he's playing like pretty much his own dad. That's pretty much like
Yeah.
like autobiography, pretty much.
Yeah, I knew a little bit about that one.
Yeah, that movie's actually pretty good. Willem Dafoe in Lighthouse and Robert Pattinson in Lighthouse. Both those
That
didn't get any
movie
love.
is so eerie, dude. They're
Yeah,
both
I love that
incredible.
movie.
They're both incredible in that movie.
And then Adam Sandler in Uncut Gems. Everyone thought he was going to get a nomination. He didn't,
Yeah.
which is a shame because like his dramatic stuff is always pretty good.
Yeah, he does one, he doesn't get a nom, and he doesn't win, and then he goes back to making shitty comedy movies.
Yes.
And
Yeah. And then another one that I had down personally is Florence Pugh in Midsummer. But it's a horror movie. It's not going to get love. So.
yeah, I don't have anything further for those categories. The only one I knew of that I know got pushed. I know there was some actual political push here. Was Marvel was really trying to get Robert Downey Jr. a nomination for Endgame. Because they wanted Endgame to feel like the true magnum opus, like Return of the King, and I was just like, it's not.
I remember hearing it, but I remember going, it's never going to happen.
Well, this is when I was blindly in love with Endgame, to the point where I really considered Endgame was possibly one of my favorite movies of all time. And even then, I was like, I don't see that one, guys.
It's the same thing I said when I was like, oh, I really hope Alan Rickman gets nomination for Severus Snape. Like, yeah. I blindly wanted it to happen, but it's never going to happen.
Yeah, I didn't even want it to blindly happen. I just went, guys.
Yeah.
Come on.
And then jumping into Best Picture, the actual winner is Parasite, which you can see when they announce it. Everyone fucking loved that it won. Like, everyone was so fucking happy. Other nominees, Ford versus Ferrari, The Irishman, Jojo Rabbit, Joker, Little Women, Marriage Story, 1917, Upon Hollywood. And I'll just say right now, I have no problems with any of those. 100% happy with the winner. I have no changes at all.
I do have one change.
Okay.
No issue with the winner. Take Joker out. It's not a Best Picture nominee.
But you have something to replace it with. That's the problem.
Nope. But we're already in the era where you don't have to get up to that number. So just take it out. It's not.
That is true, actually. Because coming up, I'll talk about that. But yeah, we are at the point where it could be from 8 to 10. So yeah, that is true. But that means that Joker got at least 5% of first place votes. So
that is
people loved it enough, I guess.
Oh yeah, that was part of the zeitgeist, and I get it, and that was what was even more bothersome about the movie.
That's just the strange thing to me. Like, I understand like liking it to the point of nominating it for Best Picture, but to say it's the best movie of the year, no, it doesn't make sense to me.
Well, here's the thing: the first Joker. I've said this a lot. I'll say it again publicly, even though I've said it a ton of times. I do not like that first Joker movie. I'm against that Joker movie being made in general, because it completely defeats the purpose of the Joker. So naturally, to cover their ass when they made Fall I Do, they're like, it's not actually the Joker, he's kind of the inspiration. I'm like, fuck off. You knew what you were doing, and you just tried to not piss off fans. That's all it was. But I can legitimately, I said this right after watching the movie. I don't like this. I don't want this. But it's a good movie. But even when
I thought it was good.
And when I'm watching it in a fair context, I think Joaquin Phoenix is worthy of a nomination for Joker. Whether he wins or not, I didn't fully watch the watch the rest of that category to say like, yeah, but I understand it, and I have no beef with Joaquin Phoenix for an acting award being nominated and winning for Joker. But that movie is not an Academy Best Picture caliber movie to me, and that's where I just go. The
other nominees were Leo and Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Adam Driver in Marriage Story, Antonio Banderas in Pain and Glory, which I have not, and then Jonathan Bryce in The Two Popes, which I've seen all those except Antonio Banderas. Honestly, I'd be fine with any of those winning, So
Yeah.
like,
So again, I don't have any issue with Joaquin Phoenix winning. I think the acting performance of the character that he is given is tremendous. And I think that movie gets unfair praise. I don't know. I feel like that movie, especially at the time, got more praise than what it was actually worth because again, it was of its time. And this is at the height of dysfunction of the Trump administration in the US where people are just tired. They're just so fucking tired and they're like, I wish there was just some crazy fucking lunatic that would just blow half this shit up. And that's what the Joker is in that movie. That's what Joaquin Phoenix does. And it also is a compelling story of a person with psychosis. And I understand that, and it's always intriguing to watch that. So, from those two contexts, I easily understand why people liked the movie, regardless of whether I did or not. But when I look at the total product, I don't go, oh my god, that has to be a nominee for Best Picture. I just go, great performance, don't get the rest of it.
yeah. The only other note I had on 2019 is Parasite was actually a huge underdog because 1917 going into it took home the Producers Guild, the BAFTA, the Golden Globe, and Parasite. The only thing going into the night it won was the Egg Ensemble Award. It only had won one big award.
I've yet to watch a Parasite.
It is great.
There's been a lot of late nights where I finally am
Especially,
responsible, where I look at Parasite at around 1 a.m. and go, I could do this. And I went, not the time.
especially when you know nothing about it, then it's great.
I don't know shit about Parasite.
Yeah, then it's good.
I know the paragraph description they give you on streaming services about it. That's about it. So
Okay, yeah, I really love that.
I have no beef with Parasite winning because I don't know it. So 2019 was again for Oscar nominees. Jojo Rabbit was kind of the movie I watched, and that was about it.
Yeah, I mean, oh yeah. So for favorite movie, mine was JoJo.
Yeah, favorite movie for mine. I'm sure it will shock you. 0%. It will be Avengers Endgame.
Makes sense.
I think Avengers Endgame. Obviously not from an award standpoint, but when I look at the work put into Avengers Endgame, it's legitimately a one of a kind. It's 15 years of film and
Yeah.
21 movies at the time. It's 21 movies at the time, all culminating into one event and truly understanding what a comic book on screen is supposed to be. Love me some Avengers Endgame. Gotta love it. Yeah, Lupin, what's your favorite movie of 2019? Well, he responded. I'll give him that. Did you also love Jojo Rabbit, Lupin? I'm sure you did. And for those just listening, Lupin is Dylan's dog, who's now on screen licking his face.
All right, 2020.
So I'll set the scene here for us.
But one sec, I can give the one-word review of the Oscars. I don't know if you can read it.
Oh, we can read that.
Weird.
Weird. Okay, so I will set the scene for 2020. Obviously, it's the obvious the COVID year. This is the COVID-19 pandemic.
The year that never should have happened.
Then the year that, well, it's essentially the year that never was, right? And it shuts down the world in so many ways. Obviously there are far more needed for the safety, health, and well-being of human industries. That also went the way of the dodo hard. But in terms of entertainment, strictly the entertainment world, I don't think a single business was hit harder or worse or damaged more than the movie business by the pandemic. Because also the pandemic went on long enough where people understood, wait, I don't have to spend $20 if you're in a city, you live in Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, fucking Philly, wherever. At the time of the pandemic, you're paying like $20 just to go see one movie as one person. It used to be. That was the reason dinner and a movie was the thing was because a movie was a cheap thing to do with a date. It's an easy thing to do with a date. And now, half the time, the experience, especially going into 2020 and then post 2020 where they have to recover, movies are not affordable to go to. Like, you have to, and it's difficult.
That's the problem.
And then you have an entire swath of people who are already integrating their household to be multifunctional to anything they want. So movie people are going to go, well, I can get surround. I have this giant TV now, or people have started to get the projectors and the screens on the wall, or things of that nature. I don't need to do this. I can just wait till it's on a streaming service, or I can wait till it's a rental and pay $5 to do it, or $10 to do it. Why do I want to leave my house? And it is completely shown here. Just think of the box office here. Avengers Endgame legitimately is just constantly measuring dicks with Avatar for highest grossing movie of all time. Where it's just constant, oh, they made a little bit more, so we're going to re-release. It's just Disney going, hey, we own both. Why don't we just keep making money off both for the competition factor? That's 2019. 2020, the highest grossing film of the year is $206.3 million. And it's Bad Boys for Life.
Yeah, it's pretty sad.
The second highest grossing movie of the year is 1917, a movie that's not even released that year. Obviously, it was a late one for the Oscar season, but same time. Sonic the Hedgehog, $148.9 million. I think that one easily would have been the highest grossing movie had COVID hit 3 weeks later, because family movies always make more money. Jumanji Next Level, again, 2019. Rise of Skywalker, 2019. Talk about a movie that was just forgotten. Birds of Prey and the fantabulous emancipation of one Harley Quinn. Only $84.1 million. This is when a comic book movie can't do anything except make money. $84.1 million. Doolittle with Robert Downey Jr., $77 million. Little Women, 2019 movie. An Invisible Man, Call the Wild, Onward, Tenet, Knives Out, 2019 movie. Frozen 2, 2019 movie. That's your top 15. And a third of it is not even released in that year.
Yeah.
And the only true, the fact that, I'm not saying Tenet is Christopher Nolan's best work, but that should show you the impact of COVID-19 when a summer blockbuster made by Christopher Nolan that can only make money only makes $58.5 million. That shows you everything you need to know about that year in terms of box office and what that happened to the movies.
Oh, it was just there was just too many rules, guys, for people to go around. There's just too many hoops to go through.
Oh yeah, I mean, and the thing is, when you looked at, once you got to the 2020 summer, people had their routine and knew what they wanted to do. And the movie theater was not one that they really wanted to do. So to then pull you in...
Well, it's the furthest thing from their mind at that point.
Well, exactly. I mean, you're still at the height of people not working, where they've now gotten used to not working in that capacity. It was strange for me because first 4 months I had a job, 5 months, and then I immediately transitioned to in-person work. But I went from not seeing anybody except my circle of 12 people that I trusted.
I never stopped working.
Well, yeah, your postal office, you had to, I never stopped working. The only break I had was when we moved from Chicago to Philadelphia in the height of the pandemic. So
yeah, I never stopped working in person.
No, it was just strange because I did, we shut down at the youth center. We were all just given a laptop. Because I remember vividly, it was. Do you remember when Tom Hanks got COVID? He was like the first big American celebrity where it went like, oh
Yeah.
shit, Tom Hanks, and people didn't know, and it was just mass
Wasn't he in
hysteria.
like Australia?
I don't know where it was, but when he was flying back, a parent and I think possibly a kid, the school that we worked with for the youth center was in the same restaurant and like sat next to Tom Hanks's booth in the airport. And then the news broke, and then it was like mass hysteria panic. And then they shut down the school where the principal didn't call the Chicago public school system. They just said, nope, we don't know. We don't know anything about this. We're not putting anyone at risk. And they called every single parent and said, pick these kids up. So I remember at
Well, it doesn't help that our world leaders didn't really handle it all too well.
well, there was a lot of world leaders that did handle it well. The one who didn't, unfortunately, ran our country. So
Well, I would say, well, he's like,
he's the tippy top fucking moron of this.
yeah,
But yes,
I was gonna say, but there was a lot of them that didn't handle it well.
and I just remember being like, how even weirdly the movies interacted with me on that day because I had never been in the youth center in a building that dead where I had like 6 kids to work with because they were just the kids that couldn't get picked up in time because their parents were like already at work and they're like, what do you fucking mean? Like, what? So, and then I had to explain like, no, nothing bad's gonna happen. It's okay. Like, you didn't come into contact with anybody whatsoever. And I remember being like, it's fine. I vividly remember, and I think it's just relevant to this conversation because of movies are just such an everyday part of life prior to that, and they still are, but in a different way. I remember having a conversation with friends, and it was looking like this was going to ramp up to what the pandemic became. And I said, no one's going to care until it impacts their daily life. And I'm talking to all future doctors here, because I'm in med school crowds due to AB. They're like, no, 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 no. I'm like, no, I'm telling you right now, normal people will not care until this impacts their daily lives. That's when this becomes a real problem for normal people, not medical people. 30 minutes later, the NBA shut their season down. And I just went, well, and let it begin. And within 2 days, everything was dead. And I went, those are some fucking prophetic words on my part. And everyone like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, I'm telling you, no one's going to care until they cancel sports. And it impacts what they watch on television and how they can go to the grocery store. They don't care because it's just how people's brains work.
The only thing I remember really about that was like, because I watch soccer and not other sports, is like watching football with absolutely zero fans in the stadium.
Yeah,
so weird.
It was such a strange experience. And the same thing for movies. I remember the Batman was supposed to release in 2020 and it got delayed.
Well, a lot of movies were.
And that was the one because that one was long coming. Everyone's like the Batman with Matt Reeves, and I went, oh shit. And to the point where I remember they released the trailer thinking hopefully they could get it in at late 2020, and then they pushed it to 2021. Still, they were just good decision on their part.
They didn't push far enough, but
well, they pushed it into 2022, which is smart on their part.
I still don't think they pushed it far. I don't think March is like the best time for that movie, but
no, it was a pleasant surprise and a gift that year. But
that movie should have come out in the fall.
Yeah,
it's a fall movie.
Yes, 1,000%. But it's just one of those that I remember. That was the one where I just said, "Come hell or high water, I don't care if I have to wear a fucking hazmat suit. I will be in the theater to watch this fucking movie." It came out to the point where that didn't have to happen. Yeah. But that was the one where I went, I do not care. I will die to watch this movie. And Top Gun Maverick was similar, where I went, I don't know, and finally I went, come hell or high water, I will be in the theater to watch Top Gun Maverick. I do not care.
Yeah.
But 2020, it's brutal to the point where you have Christopher Nolan switches the studios he works with because he's disgusted at how Warner Brothers released the movie, and now he works with Universal. Which I don't know. He might be coming back to Warner Brothers. I saw a report or something that the deal with Universal's up, and he might go back to Warner Brothers now that there's different management. And I was like, that's the smartest thing Warner Brothers could ever do.
Well, the best thing for him would be just create a bidding war. That'd be the best thing for him.
Yes, of course. Remember, Wonder Woman 1984 comes out.
Actually,
it's a
the best
streaming
thing for
service
him
thing.
would just be produce his movies independently and then create a bidding war between the studios.
Oh, 1,000%.
Because then he can do whatever the fuck he wants.
Yes, but
with zero studio interference.
But this is the year where you're getting streaming. You're getting.
I highly doubt studios interfere with Christopher Nolan.
Oh yeah, exactly. You can't. After Oppenheimer, what are you gonna say, Chris? We'd really like. Well, that's kind of you to think, but I don't care.
Yeah.
But this is the year where so many big projects went to die, and out of desperation, streaming services and companies were like, "We are fucking dying here. We need to release these goddamn movies."
A lot of the movies that get nominated are streaming. So.
But you have, I remember HBO Max. That was the best thing of the year when they just went, we need to recoup some of these losses. We want the streaming service to work. We're going to put in day one movies on HBO Max. That's how people are going to be able to watch this. And I remember it, and I mean, that's also what happened next year with Black Widow, to where Scarlett Johansson's relationship with Marvel was forever damaged. I think they're back on good terms, but because people were like, yo, you're fucking with my money, you're fucking with my residuals.
Yep, I remember.
But same thing with Wonder Woman 84, Mulan, they both came out in 2020, and people were like, this is weird. This is meant to be on a big screen as a big event, and I'm getting it on my TV. Neither of them were that great, so it was okay.
And
but...
they also did this. Well, Disney Plus also is. I hate the way they did that, where you had to pay like $30 or whatever. That's bullshit.
I understood it. I didn't like it, but I understood it because I went.
You're paying for a service already. Fuck you for making me pay extra for a movie. Go fuck yourself.
I get it. I mean,
at least
in terms of
at least HBO is at the point where I'm paying for this service. You're releasing a movie onto your service. Give me it. Okay, that's fine. That's great.
It's a great trade-off. And yeah. Or I wouldn't even cared if they... I think, yes. The frustration is very warranted, obviously. It was one in which I understood it because they were so flat on their ass that they're like, we need to make some money off of this. We can't write off like $300 million. However, having said that, yeah, you're right. You're already paying for a service. So the fact that you're going to charge me more and use it as an attraction to get me to watch the movie.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just bitter towards all streaming services. So.
Yeah, you're not a streaming service guy anyways. So
I hate them with a passion.
You really do.
I hate them. They're the worst. They're like the bane of my existence.
Well, I just remember streaming was supposed to change the world for such a better, and for a couple of years it did.
Oh, they definitely have not.
And now it's just cable. That's all it is.
It's worse than cable.
It's all it is, but it's worse because you have to do more work half the time to use a streaming service.
Exactly. And they're 10 times more exclusive.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Let's get into the Oscars. Let's dip into it.
Like I said, a one-word review. Weird.
Fucking weird. Yeah.
Although I will say, if you want to just go and watch like the clips, like there's getting in, they're kind of fun for just like the weird oddities they are. There's like 100 people in the room, so it's just really fucking weird.
Hey, I mean, I remember watching the 2020 NFL draft. That was fun. It was a horrible production because
exactly.
It was just
really
hashtag tragic backstory was a part of every draftee's thing, but it was fun just watching Roger Goodell in his basement, like in a sweater, just being like, "Oh, I'm Uncle Roger, and here's who the Bengals are gonna pick at number 1."
That's another thing. Is like some people were in person at the award show, and then some people were Zoom. It was just like, okay, this is really strange.
Yeah.
Yeah, so weird production. It's awful. And then some of the things that they did, sound categories got combined. So no more sound mixing and sound editing, just sound, best sound. Specific percentages got added to best score now. So minimum of 60% original score for all movies, and then original the best original score has to be 60% original. That's the minimum. And then for franchise and sequels, it has to be 80% minimum new music.
I don't get
That's,
that because of the future ones
so
that I saw nominated, but okay.
that's when you see like, oh, this movie was not eligible. That's what they're talking about. It's like I saw a big thing like Doom 2 was not eligible, and I always never like saw a reason why. I always just saw it wasn't eligible.
Yeah.
So now I understand why it wasn't. Stuff like that.
Yeah, and I'm
And then
wondering because a couple years from now, Indie Dial of Destiny gets it, and I just go, score to that movie.
I guess it hit the mark.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not
It
mad
must
for
have,
John Williams to get another nomination.
yeah,
It's John
it
Williams.
must have hit the threshold. And then the biggest story of the day was best actor fiasco that they had, where they changed the order that they announced the awards. They never done this before. Sometimes they change the way they like announce the awards, so it's like they announce best actor, best actress, best director, best picture.
Yeah.
Sometimes they do best director, best actor, best actress, best picture. But this time, they announced they're going to do best actor last. Everyone was like, okay. So everyone was like, okay, so this must mean that they're trying to build up this. And Chadwick Boseman had just died. He was nominated, and the seemingly forefront, like the seemingly nailed on winner for Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. That's the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everyone was like, okay, so this must be building up to that. And when he didn't win, everyone was like, ooh, this is a bad look. Like, that is not. Like, I get why you would kind of want to do that, but considering you, like, even the Oscars, like, they don't know who's going to win. Like, the Academy does not know who's going to win previous to the awards being announced.
Yeah, they just don't they have a third party collect all the votes for everybody?
Yes. Yes. So, like, why would you take that risk? Like, make it best
I can tell you
director, best actress, best actor, best picture, maybe. So you're saving best actor for last until best picture, but
I have a theory that I'm pretty confident in. I don't have anything to back this up, so this could be total horseshit. I can tell you exactly who made that call. A TV producer.
oh, I'm sure it was.
A
I'm sure
TV
it was
producer said, "Isn't it? He's clearly going to win. This is going to be a feel good moment during the pandemic, and then people can honor one of the most popular actors at the time, and that's what's going to be."
that is a huge risk to take, and that's like just talk about egg on your face. Like,
Oh, well, that's
that
that's
is
the
a
thing is
bad look.
when I look at stuff like that, I love TV production. I'm really fascinated with TV production. It's actually part of the reason I'm so fascinated with pro wrestling is I love getting to hear how decisions are being made and why behind the scenes, like how it's being produced and why we're doing the things we're doing because it builds to something, right? That is textbook. Someone just going, "Look, think how big of a moment that is," without another person in the room going, "What if that doesn't happen?"
And I should say, so going into the night, Chadwick Boseman had won the SAG award, he had won the Golden Globe, He had won the Critics' Choice Award. So the only thing going against him was it lost the BAFTA to Anthony Hopkins. So look, going into it, the chances were in his favor, but there's still an outside chance that you're not going to win.
Bad decision.
So
That's one of those where I would have
yeah,
been like, don't deviate. Make it the second
yeah.
to last one. The other thing I don't understand
Exactly. That's what I just
here's what I don't understand about the
picture last.
what I don't understand about the Oscars. Part of the reason people say that show is so fucking long, and why a lot of people don't watch that anymore. Why don't you just take your big six and sprinkle it throughout the night?
Well, they do. They do. They usually do supporting actor and supporting actress as the first category.
Yeah. It's just one of those that I build it like a
But
fucking
then,
fight card,
and yes, but then yes, the other four they do usually save for last.
and I do not understand that. To me, you start best actor or best actress. Start hot, and then give them the support. Then you go director.
Well, they just want to save their biggest stars for that's that's it.
I mean, I get it. The other thing is, it's not fair because then you belittle other parts. That show should
We'll be
be
talking about that.
That show should be an
Um,
hour long, and it should only be the big six, and then they should just list the winners of the other ones.
and we'll be talking about that in so technical changes.
I can see a nomination, not a win for Tenet for original screenplay. That's it.
I also have an original screenplay. I don't know how much people love this movie, but I really love it. Is a nomination for Palm Spring.
Never seen it. Don't know what the fuck it is.
Oh, really? Andy Samberg and who's the girl in The Penguin? Kristen.
Emiliati.
Yeah, those two.
I think I've seen a
It's like
clip of that, but that's about it.
it's like a fun Groundhog Day-ish movie where
Huh.
it's kind of like Groundhog Day, and I really love it, Samberg. So
You do love Andy
it's a fun,
Samberg, which is
it's a
odd
fun movie.
because it's not someone I would peg as like, oh, Dylan would love. So I always get intrigued
Something
because
about him. Something about him is just really funny.
yeah, I have zero changes to the rest. I just have a question about a big six, and that's it.
Yeah. So the other categories, Chloe Zhao won director for Nomadland. Anthony Hopkins win. The oldest winner for The Father. Also, we talked about Julianne Moore winning for Bill Alice. So the second person to win for playing someone with dementia in the past 5 years, because she won in 2015. Apparently, the Oscars just love presented someone that play someone with dementia.
So they got their flavors, man. They like
Yeah.
sticking within their flavors.
Yeah, Frances McDormand wins again for Nomadland. Daniel Kaluuya wins supporting actor for Judas and the Black Messiah. And then I'm gonna butcher this name, Yoo Young Yoon for Minari for supporting actor.
Talk about a lot of stuff I haven't seen. I don't know what the fuck it is, and I don't mean that with
Minari?
any disrespect. I have not, all of them. I'm talking about all of them, not that one specifically.
Oh, okay.
I don't
Minari's
know
great. It's
what any of
Stephen
those are.
Yoon. Oh, Stephen Yoon, right?
Yeah, of course I know Stephen Yeun. Walking
Walking
Dead.
Yeah. It's like a really great it's like a really low budget movie. It's like a small drama about like a Korean family struggling in that rural America. And then he plays the grandma in it.
Sadly, that was my guess. With knowing nothing about that movie, I'm sure she plays like some grandma in an immigrant story.
Yeah. She's great in it. Daniel Kaluuya, one of 2 actors nominated for Best Supporting Actor in the movie. I completely agree with that too. Frances McDormand, I don't connect with Nomadland. I know a lot of people love it, but I just don't
I don't know
That
what that
movie.
movie is.
It's like about her. She's like she lives in a van, travels around the country, and struggles like find work and stuff. It's like it's kind of like a COVID movie, like
It's kind of perfect
struggling
for
to
the
live.
time. Kind of perfect
Yes,
for the
it's
time.
just one of those movies that speaks to the time. And Frances McDormand obviously is a great actress, she's great in everything she does. But yeah, I just didn't connect to that movie all that much. Anthony Hopkins obviously is great, and him and the father, he is great in that movie. But it is a shame that Chadwick Boseman didn't win.
So this is the only question. Again, I told you I haven't seen any of these. This is not a knock. I had to ask the question. Was he nominated because it was a worthy performance, or was he nominated because he died?
It's a worthy performance,
Okay.
and there is a reason he won all those awards. But
I
actually,
assume.
that's not the one I would have picked. I actually would have picked Riz Ahmed in Sound of Metal, which is
Okay.
a Amazon movie
Huh.
where he's a drummer in a metal band and he starts going deaf, and it's
Oh.
just like him filled with fucking rage about not being able to hear anymore because his entire life is about music
Yeah.
and he just can't hear. So it's just like him, yeah, being completely just overwhelmed and filled with rage about it. It's a really like I really connected to that movie. I really loved it. Um, but Boseman, I would have picked over Anthony Hopkins. I can see why Anthony Hopkins won. He's like the more traditional choice, I would have said.
Sure.
But like one of those movies that just like Oscars, the Academy just loves old people struggling. Like it reminds me of
Old people just struggling.
it reminds me of in 2011 there's a movie called Amore that got nominated for Best Picture, and Emmanuel Riva got a lot of buzz, and she was rumored to be the front runners. She's just like another person with dementia. So it's just like
Oscars
they
love their
love
old
it.
do.
They love it. Yeah.
And what's the best picture
Then
winner of this year?
Nomadland wins Best Picture. Other nominees: The Father, Judas and the Black Messiah, very underwhelming Mank, Sound of Metal, Ari, Promising Young Woman, and The Trial of the Chicago Seven. The only thing I would have done is I would have changed Nomadland out for Promising Young Woman. I really love Promising Young Woman. That's a fun movie. It's like I actually don't want to spoil anything about it.
Okay.
It's like Carey Mulligan being a total badass all the time.
Carey
It
Mulligan being a total badass.
like she's awesome in that movie.
You know my stance. I've never been a Carey Mulligan fan, so
He's great in that movie.
I've
And
never.
there's a great twist at the end.
Yeah.
And Bo Burnham's in that movie, and he's just a total dude. Then I would have loved to see Palm Springs get a nomination, but I don't know what I would have replaced it with. So,
And what wins Best Picture again?
Nomadland.
So you would have just taken out the winner and just said nah.
No, I would have just Nomadland. I would have kept in there, but Promising Young Woman, I would have switched it with it.
At first, I thought you said I would take that out and put "Promising Young Woman" in, as in like the
Oh no,
category, not the winner. And I was like, oh
oh,
damn,
Promising
okay,
Young Woman was nominated. Yeah, so
weird
honestly,
year. There's nothing to
in terms of
talk
like,
about. There's nothing to
in
really
terms of like,
sink your teeth into.
yeah, in terms of like favorite movie, yes, I'd say Palm Springs, but I don't know. It's pretty hard to pick a favorite movie.
A favorite movie, I think, is it's gonna go to either Tenet or Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Movie's underrated. It's actually pretty fun. It's
I've not
just, it just. I,
because I have no interest. 'Cause 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 I have
of the DC movies, that was the one that came out.
Soul was not Soul
I,
here. I
I've
like
yet to see,
Soul.
I've yet to see Soul. I like Onward. I think Onward's fun. Obviously, I connect with that one for obvious reasons that Dylan would know. Yeah,
Just looking at other movies that year.
I didn't like. This is the thing. Like, I have to look at this list and go, did I hate it? And that could count as a maybe a favorite because the year is just so dead. I look at Mulan.
Yeah,
I thought Mulan was about
yeah,
as mediocre gets, and I'm like, well, I didn't hate it.
yeah.
Wonder Woman 84 sucks. And
Yeah, that movie does suck.
oh god, I remember having to have a discussion about that because we had friends over. We all watched it together because they came for the holidays. They're like, what do you mean it's bad? I'm like, this movie's bad. Like, this movie's bad. Like, what? I'm like, no, guys, you can like it. I'm not saying you can't like it, but you can't tell me and defend this accurately and tell me this is a good movie. It's not.
Yeah, yeah, it sucks.
Bad fucking movie.
2021.
2021 is kind of a revival in a lot of ways for me, but we'll go through. Hey, tell me what's bankable about this year. Spider-Man No Way Home, Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings, Venom Let There Be Carnage, Black Widow, Fast and the Furious 9 or F9 The Fast Saga, Eternals, No Time to Die, Quiet Place 2, Ghostbusters Afterlife, Free Guy, Jungle Cruise, Godzilla vs. Kong, Dune Part 1, Halloween Kills, and Encanto. You tell me what's making movies go that year.
It's a real downer. It sucks.
It's
Oh, what? There was 2 original movies. That's it. Free Guy and
it's Free Guy and Encanto. That's it. Everything else is a franchise movie. I mean, I guess like Ghostbusters Afterlife is a pretty big departure.
it's
Some
not an
ways.
original movie.
It's
Though.
not a
That's
no,
still based on something.
no, I know. I'm not. I was about to say I'm pulling at strings to try to make that argument. I'm not even making an
Yeah,
argument. I'm just saying. I guess. Yeah, Jungle Cruise is an original movie. It's based off of a Disney ride, but it's an
it's still
original.
based on something.
I know, but based off an amusement park ride is not the same as based off a fucking book or TV show or something.
I guess. Yeah. I've never been on the Jungle Cruise ride.
Exactly.
So
I don't fucking know.
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
all properties and
2021,
but it.
the ceremony. But we're not going to talk about it at all. But obviously, the slap matter. Everyone's talked about it to death.
Oh Jesus
Um,
Christ!
that's,
I was about
that's
to
it.
say what a fucking fool. That was about it. Just like
Doesn't
what a
matter.
way to tarnish your reputation. Just fucking dumb.
Best picture now is set at 10 for good. Will they change the rules again? I should say. Um,
Oh, like,
so
have they changed the rules since, or do you just know they're about to change the rules?
they will change their rules, I'm sure, in the future years.
Oh,
So
God.
at some point they'll change it again.
I think it was. I
Um,
thought it was fine when they made it up to 10.
yeah, well, guess what? They'll do it in the future, I'm sure. At some point they will. They always change their rules. Multiple categories were presented before the telecast began. So what you talked about was a big slap in the face. Everyone was in an uproar.
The
I mean,
Oscars are a television product. People don't want to sit through 3 hours of fucking shit.
yeah, but one of the problems was Jessica Chastain, who won Best Actress that year. She was like super pissed off about it and really, really vocal about it because makeup and hairstyling was announced before the telecast, and she like completely skipped the red carpet and stuff. To go inside to see if they won, and they did. So like Oscars didn't like that she skipped the red carpet and that, but it's like, hey, that was your own fucking fault. You did it.
I think
But,
here's so about this.
but like, okay, so all the shorts were announced beforehand. film editing, makeup, score, production design, and sound. Those were the ones.
I don't understand score because that's an opportunity to liven up a television show.
I don't understand those categories ones, but
So here's what I have to say. You've said this in the past, and even I'm like, when I'm trying to make something out of it, I always come back to this, where this is just, the Oscars was made by producers to make more money for their movies. That's all it is.
yeah,
And I
it's a
understand.
marketing tool.
I understand that this has become, in the movie world, this is the crowning. This is your Super Bowl. If you're an actor, this is your Super Bowl.
Well, originally the Academy was in place to be a bargaining thing. There was no guilds originally. So
Yeah.
the Academy was created. And then the guilds were created after the Academy. So then the Academy pretty much lost all its
Real tangible worth besides
yeah,
awards.
pretty much. So at one point, I read this in the Frank Capra autobiography. Academy was down to like 30 members at one point when Frank Capra was president. So then he was like, okay, what the fuck do we do? So then he talks about like, okay, we really need to just put a prestige on like the awards and what they mean. So yeah, it becomes a marketing tool.
That's all it is, and I mean this with all due respect. Because clearly, you've seen me. I get passionate about the technical categories. Far more, I have more opinions on the technical categories most of the time than I do the big six, right?
That's the problem is normal people don't.
And that's what I was about to say. Normal people do not care. People need to realize in that industry, specifically, the Oscars is not a prestigious event. It's a television show.
Yep.
This is part of the era, like, people treat the Oscars like the Super Bowl. That's what it is. People who don't give a flying fuck about football come together and enjoy the Super Bowl because it's an event to be spent with your chosen friends, family, whatever the case may be. To me, the Super Bowl is the top 5 day of the year every year because I'm surrounded by people I love, celebrating something that I absolutely adore. That's it. And Oscars watch parties, I think I've done one before where I was at somebody's house to do it. I need to host more because I can do more. But that's what it is. It's a television event, and it's an excuse for people to get together. It's not this thing where it's not a sporting event where people can get invested. My team. The only thing they get invested about is, hey, my team got fucking robbed because all these movies that no one cares about meaning general audience, not nobody in general.
Yeah, for normal people, it's hard to understand most of the category. Which is why I always say, like, they don't do a good enough job explaining what those categories actually mean.
What do they do? Show a clip of it. Here's my other thing.
Exactly.
What
That's
I don't
my
understand
problem with it.
is their social media game. I don't understand either because it's almost non-existent to me. I don't know. What I don't understand is
Well, they try, but they don't. Yeah, they don't success for sure.
what I don't understand is put out an hour-long documentary. Make it fun. Prior to the Oscars.
That's the problem. They take themselves too serious.
Tell people, what is sound? What are we looking for in sound? This is what we as the sound do. I learned so much about visual effects from one fucking documentary series, where now I believe I understand it 1,000 times better than I did before. Before it was just, can it make me believe? That's it. And can it look good?
Yeah.
And now I understand how much goes into that by that ILM documentary. Nobody gives a flying fuck about half these categories. And you need to make them care. So you can't be Mr. Prestigious, nose up, judging everybody. How could they not get it? And you don't tell them. And you don't make them understand.
That's my problem is, like, I'd rather them cut down is, even though, it's little bit and people will say it's like kind of mean to do that, but like I don't give a shit. Like I'd rather they're being presented an award. That's what they're getting. The award.
It's odd how much people like to watch speeches. It
And
kind of is. It's odd how much people just want to see those moments because people don't actually care. General audience members
exactly,
don't care.
people don't care about this except like the huge stars.
Right.
That's the thing.
And that's the thing is I like when people get their moment. I'm happy for them. You know, I'm
Yeah.
legitimately happy to see technical categories when they get their just due. It's just one of those where people need to remember this is a fucking television show. It's not that special to a
I would
general
rather
audience people.
them. I would rather. I would rather they present the award with greater understanding of what the actual award is for,
Yeah.
and they can give their speeches back in like the actual press, you know,
Yeah.
or the press interviews them. I'd rather that happen. They're still giving their speech and they're still getting it out there, but it's just like I don't think people care that much. It's just like
I have no issue if it was 60 seconds. You get 60 seconds. That's what a
yeah,
speech is supposed to be. You even take a fucking speech class. A good speech teacher will tell you you get 45 to 90 seconds. If you go 2 minutes, it better be the best fucking speech you ever
yeah.
heard. And some of these people that just ramble on and on, and I get it. It's an overwhelming thing. It's a huge achievement. I'm not trying to take their emotions away from them.
Well, a lot of it just becomes a long thank you, which is the problem. And that's a problem. Other things about the ceremony. Coda becomes the first streaming Best Picture, even though it only had 3 nominations total. Pretty incredible. And that's
What was
actually
the
the
movie?
first Coda.
Coda?
That's the first movie to do that in actually I don't know how many years that would be. I'm trying to do the math, but since 1932. And then Ariana DeBose's win for Best Supporting Actress marks the third time in history that two people have played the same role and won Oscars for playing one role.
Huh.
So Rita Moreno and her in West Side Story played the same character. And then De Niro and Brando played Joe Corleone.
No.
And then Heath Ledger and Joaquin Phoenix both played the Joker. So,
So odd to think that the Joker is part of that category.
yeah. Yeah, so 3 times duos have won. And then I should have counted this. I also marked this down as a note. I should have counted the amount of times another Bond song won. Billie Eilish wins for another Bond song,
Hey,
but
No Time to Die is a fucking great song.
yeah, I should have counted the total of Bond songs that won. Sure, it's
Skyfall.
Sam Smith won, Billie Eilish wins.
Adele wins. Billie Eilish wins.
Live and Let Die, I'm sure won.
I think The Spy Who Loved Me actually may have won. I'm gonna look it up right now. Actually, take us into some technical stuff.
Okay, so technical stuff. I only have a couple. Adapted screenplay. I have Drive My Car, which is a Korean film, which I actually that's like a dark
Wow.
horse for me. It's That's the movie that I put off watching until like 3 months ago. I had not seen it, and I was like kind of dreading that movie. But then I finally watched it. And I was like, damn, I kind of love this movie. I actually said I would have picked that over Coda, and then cinematography nominated for The Green Knight, which is actually a movie I know you've seen.
Oh, admittedly, I missed part of what you were saying. Only 3 Bond songs have won the Academy Award, and they are all modern ones with Daniel Craig.
Okay, so Skyfall, Writings on the Wall,
And No
Billie
Time to
Eilish.
Die. And I believe that For Your Eyes Only from 1981 was the last one to get nominated prior to
Okay.
Skyfall. Which is so crazy to think, like,
Live and Let Die.
Yeah, Live and Let Die, Spy Who Loved Me is another one. Nobody Does It Better. And A View to a Kill is a fucking banger. And I will say, even though I don't think it's Oscar worthy, Die Another Day, the Madonna song, this became like a huge dance hit as well. Bond songs are bangers. That's just what they do. It's what they are.
There's quite a few good ones,
but
I'm surprised they're not nominated.
Admittedly, if we ever went to 1985, unless there's just like some, oh wait, no, because I'd have to go with Huey Lewis and the News in that one. But if we went to into the 85 Oscars, I'd be fighting hard for View to a Kill by Duran Duran because that's a fucking banger. I fucking love that song.
Trying to think of what actually won, and I think it is The Power of Love.
Should be The Power of Love.
Let me look. Oh, I can figure it out in like Lupin.
So
nope. Hey, You Say Me by Lionel Richie.
That's wrong. I don't even know the song, but that's wrong.
Power of Love was not.
Should have won. All right, so I have a couple things here. Animated feature, I have no changes, but that is a stacked category. It's a lot of good movies in that category. It's Encanto, Luca, The Millers vs. the Machines, which is an underrated movie. I really appreciate that. There's a fourth one in there that I really thought was pretty good.
Raya and the Last Dragon.
I think Raya and the Last Dragon is actually pretty damn good. It was a COVID casualty. It came out like weirdly pandemic times, and just it went to die. That's a movie that would have made way more money a year later had they just waited.
And then the last one is Flea.
That's the only one I have not seen of the animated category, but the whole thing's stacked.
And Flea is actually a documentary as well. I know that.
Huh. But yeah, that category's stacked. Costume design, Cruella wins. Snaps for that. Cruella's actually, I'm a big fan of Cruella. I actually really enjoy it quite a bit just because of the punk rock inclusions in that movie. And costume design is perfect for that film. I think that's, if you're going to make a movie about fashion, that's the way to do it. Have some fun with it, actually make it enjoyable.
Sure. I would agree with that, sure.
I can't stand the Devil Wears Prada. Let's make it more than this. It's like...
Well, that's probably more typical of what fashion act is. But
right. Whereas if you want to get people invested and actually give a fuck, Cruella, I think, is the way to do it. It's like fashion is a way to tell a story, and we make it something really cool and integral to the plot, but at the same time, it's more of a personal journey. And I know people would be like, didn't you just describe Devil Wears Prada? I'm like, no, that's just drama. That's just drama in the fashion world. It's not the same thing. Only other ones that I could see, I have no changes to the big six, but I would have liked to see, like, I saw a nom for cinematography for Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think a lot of the way they shoot some of the slow motion action sequences and things of that nature, quite interesting.
It's got too much of that fake blue screen environment stuff. For
I also could see a nom, or just a shout out for adapted screenplay for Shang-Chi because of this. That is a super, super heartfelt family drama in a superhero movie, and that character has had so little fuck all to do, and to make it that level of connectable to people, or connections with people, is amazing to think about. This is a 70s, hey, Kung Fu's hot, what if we just make a character that's a Kung Fu master? That's literally what Shang-Chi is, and to adapt it into this big, Eastern Asian influenced film and make it an epic of that nature is incredibly impressive to me.
Jumping into bigger categories.
I got one more, actually.
Actually, okay.
And a little shout out for visual effects to Jungle Cruise. The visual effects in Jungle Cruise are pretty damn good. I don't think it deserves a win, but nice little...
I've not seen it.
Jungle Cruise is a fun movie. I think it's...
No interest.
I think Jungle Cruise is a great popcorn movie. with endearing characters. That's what I think it is, and I don't think enough movies are made like Jungle Cruise. It's just like, let's just have fun. Who fucking cares? Just go have some fun.
Yeah. So director Jane Campion wins for The Power of the Dog. She had previously been nominated and not, so she becomes the second to win. I think so. Will Smith wins after slapping for King Richard. Jessica Chastain wins for The Eyes of Tammy Faye. Troy Kotzer wins for Coda, the second deaf person to win an Oscar. Ariana DeBose wins for West Side Story. I'll just say I have no problems with any of them.
I haven't outside of King Richard. I don't think I've seen a single one of those movies. I avoided West Side Story because I wasn't interested in the original, so I didn't need to see the remake.
I like both versions of those. Actually, I was like very cautious about Spielberg making a remake of it because I was like, why are you doing that? Like, 'cause I really do like the original quite a
Sure.
bit, but I was like, "What are you doing to Spielberg? Why are we doing a remake?" Come on. But I actually was like pleasantly surprised by it.
Yeah, it's just that was just one of those that I got. I understand why he's doing the things he's doing. I just find it hilarious how older people, as people age, they get into this thing. It seems with movies where they go away from really fun, popular movies to we're gonna make these personal dramas, or we're gonna make this, or we're
Yeah,
gonna make
well,
that.
that is where he's at this point,
And I just wish you
which
would
is a shame.
just make a fucking popcorn food.
I mean,
I love
trust
Ready
me,
Player One, and I adore I have it gets a 15% boost because it's Steven Spielberg just making a fun movie again.
yeah. I mean, I would rather him just make an original movie than West Side Story. Like, I would take an original movie any day before a remake
Yeah, it's
from
just
Spielberg. So
I don't know, just the amount of directors and creatives that kind of turn into this. I make dramas now, and it's like it's what makes. They're always like, no, I love all these movies, and I believe them. I'm not saying that they hate
yeah, I mean,
blockbusters type movies or anything else, but
it
it's
could
one of
just be that it could just be the it. Maybe he is at the point where he just can't get. Because when you think of like his popcorn movies, how
yeah,
they're so like practically filmed,
yeah.
maybe he just can't get stuff like that made anymore.
I don't know.
It could be part of it.
I just I want one more.
I would love to see like him go back to like a Raiders style, like but like actually go to locations and film.
Yeah.
Like don't do anything on a green
Well,
screen.
the other thing is, I remember he didn't do Dial of Destiny, and it felt like he was like, I'm kind of done with this, and it was just like, Steven, I need you here, bud, I need you,
Yeah.
and
No.
it's strange because that movie lacks a little bit of that Spielberg. Just-
You think? The movie
But
fucking blows.
even here's the thing: Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, as dumb as it is in parts, it still has a bit of that like,
Oh
Spielberg.
yeah,
There's some
I
fun
think
here.
that movie's fine. It's fine. Not good, but it's fine.
I think that movie gets shit on too much, but the moments that it gets shit on for are worthy of getting shit on a lot.
Oh yeah.
Uh,
Um, Coda wins Best Picture, which was kind of surprise.
have they
Other
changed the
nominees
rules for Best Picture that it has to be released in a theater or a certain amount of theaters, or does that still exist?
still exist.
That's what I
Has to
thought.
be has to be released in a New York and LA market at some point.
That's it?
Yes,
I thought it had to be like a certain amount of screens that had to show it.
I think so. As far as I'm aware, it's just has released in the LA and New York market.
Okay, so when we make a movie, we're gonna rent out one theater in New York and
I
one
it might
theater in
be like
LA, and we're getting ourselves nominated for a
it
Best
might
Picture.
be like a particular number of screens in that market.
Nope.
I know it has.
All I heard is New York and LA. We're just gonna
I know
rent
it
the
has to be.
cheapest theater that we
I know it
can to do
has.
this.
Yeah, I know it has to be those two. We have to.
Such an arbitrary, stupid rule. Then, if it's just
Yeah,
those two markets.
yeah.
Also,
But
no Chicago though. Fuck you. Chicago's better than both those cities. Having
um,
been in all three and spent time in all three, I can tell you Chicago's a way better city than both those other fucking cities.
other nominee: Licorice Pizza, Belfast, Nightmare Alley, Don't Look Up, King Richard, Drive My Car, Power of the Dog, Dune, West Side Story.
King Richard's not that good.
I I actually think a lot of these movies are pretty underwhelming. I- Like Coda is fine. Licorice Pizza, I don't really love all that much, considering it's Paul Thomas Anderson. Belfast, I didn't really love. Nightmare Alley, I didn't love, considering it's Guillermo del Toro. Don't Look Up was like so ham-fisted that it was annoying.
Very preachy in the wrong
Yes,
ways. I loved it, but then I'd also just I loved it in the moment because I was like, yeah, we're punching the right people. And then I also just
yeah,
went, this is pretty ham-handed, though.
yeah.
I'm not gonna go back
Drive
and
My Car,
I'm not gonna go back and watch Don't Look Up again. Like
exactly.
I don't need to see it again.
Yeah, Drive My Car, I really did love. That's the Korean film. Power of the Dog, I didn't really love, but I had actually rewatched that because I think I just caught that on the wrong day. I'd actually would switch out Dune. I would have picked that for Best Picture.
Dune.
I actually really love Dune.
So I was polar opposite. I don't like Dune.
Yeah, I was not expecting to love Dune, and
there
I
is
actually
something about
really
there's something about Dune Part One specifically that feels so masturbatory, self-important to me that I just don't like. I just go, oh, we're so important. Look at the spectacle. Look at it. I'm like, oh, you're just so important. You're so cool. I don't know what it is about it, but that movie just rubs me the wrong fucking way. Also, it does not help. I do not buy Timothy Chalamet as a fucking action star, and the whole thing's supposed to be building like his story about how he becomes this like warrior king, and I'm like, fuck off. You're a great actor,
he doesn't
Timothy, but come on.
he doesn't do any fighting really in it, so that's why I don't mind it.
I know. It's just so it's one of those where I just went, really?
Like, I think he only fights in it like twice.
I know.
Just that.
It's just one of those that I'm like, I'm supposed to buy this.
Yeah.
Like
And then like I
I
said,
buy Jason Momoa and Josh Brolin in their fighting
yeah,
roles. I buy them. Dave
yeah.
Batista, I buy
Yeah,
that.
great supporting cast. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's what it is. Like there's a bunch of people I like in that movie, including Timothy Chalamet, and I just kind of go, who fucking cares? Like who cares?
Rebecca Ferguson.
Oh. Anytime I can see Rebecca Ferguson, I'm happy. I think she's
Yeah.
so fucking talented. I adore Rebecca Ferguson. Oh god.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
I got no beef with
Dune
anyone.
would probably be my favorite movie of the year too.
My favorite would be Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. I think it's the best Marvel movie ever made. I think that's a wildly underrated movie. I think it's great.
The only thing that I other notes on 2021 were that being the Ricardos sucked ass.
Huh?
Did you see that movie?
What?
The Ricardos.
No.
It was like that one about like I Love Lucy.
Oh, I know what you're talking about, but I didn't see it.
Nicole Kidman. Yeah. Like
Javier
everyone was like,
Bardem.
"Oh, yeah." It was like it had so much hype going into it, and it was awful. Like
Another one on near that list. Eternals. What a downfall for Chloe Zhao. To go from I just won an Oscar to I'm directing
oh,
Eternals, and
I never saw that.
I think Eternals is fine, but they were marketing it as this is Marvel's not only next big thing, but this is Marvel's masterpiece to where no one will be able to deny Marvel makes these big quality epics.
I think I only saw Spider-Man: No Way Home. I think that's the only thing I've seen after
So, you haven't seen
like the.
Shang-Chi? Shang-Chi's a good movie.
Wait, yeah, I have seen. I've seen parts of that.
Shang-Chi's good.
Most of it, at least.
I adore Shang-Chi. I think No Way Home is really fun the first time you watch it with people, and after that, you're kind of like, okay.
Yeah, I never need to see that movie.
It was a great theater experience. That was a movie, but I saw this online. Spider-Man No Way Home was designed to be in the theater because of how many times there's legitimate pauses for cheers in the movie where they know people are going to cheer and then it stops.
Yeah,
And the movie just stops for a couple seconds essentially because they're going to cheer here and they're going to cheer here. I was like, you can't choreograph a movie like choreographing a wrestling entrance. It doesn't work.
yeah,
It works
yeah.
once.
That's true.
It works once. It doesn't work all the time. Like you can't. A movie is not supposed to be The Rock's entrance where they're like, okay, once he gets to the corner, he's gonna raise his arm. All the people are gonna take their pictures. They're all gonna cheer, and then he's gonna get the mic. Can't do that.
Yeah,
It just
yeah,
doesn't
that
work.
doesn't work like that.
Um, No Way Home does that all the fucking time. But yeah, Eternals, what a downfall for her. Because they kind of it took a lot of people back in their career. Unfairly, I think, because I think that movie is I think the movie's fine. I think that movie defines the word fine. And if you can get into it, it's kind of enjoyable. But it was presented as such this like big fucking deal that everyone's like, that movie sucks. It's the worst movie ever. Because I recently watched it. I recently rewatched it. I want to say like 3-4 months ago with a friend, and we were both talking like Marvel, and it's like, I want to rewatch Eternals. I was like, you know what? I'll do it with you. Sure, let's do this. And I went, this movie's not nearly as bad as I remember it being, but it's not that fun or important. Which is a shame because it's a great comic book property as well. Also, No Time to Die, great movie. Love No Time to Die.
Pretty good. Yeah,
Yeah, I love 2021 as a whole, and I don't understand why because a lot of the movies I'm seeing from 2021 I'm not like wowed by, but I enjoyed No Way Home. I adore Shang-Chi. Black Widow's meh. Eternals is meh, but I love No Time to Die. Encanto's great. I had fun with Godzilla vs. Kong, even though it's just two monsters beating the shit out of each other. I had fun with that. Ghostbusters Afterlife I like a lot. I was like, okay, it's a good return to the movies. I'll take it. Your face says otherwise.
yeah.
All right, let's move on to 2022.
2022 definitely better. Definitely better.
Yes, I mean, people have heard me gush about most of the movies in 2022. All right, let's set the scene for 2022. Your top grossing film of the year is Top Gun Maverick. Obviously, should be that. Black Panther Wakanda Forever. Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. Avatar Way of Water. Jurassic World Dominion. How the fuck are we soft rebooting that movie 3 years after the last one came out? Minions Rise of Gru. The Batman, Thor, Love and Thunder, Sonic the Hedgehog 2, Black Adam. Again, pandemic really took away any original movie being able to like fight for a place here. It's all franchise shit.
Yeah. Where are all the good movies? There's a lot of good movies.
I mean, there are good movies in that list. There are two extreme. There are two extremely good movies in that list, but there's also a lot of
shitty ones.
But then there's a lot of meh as well.
So the Oscars, Everything Everywhere All at Once is the first sci-fi movie to win Best Picture.
Good movie.
The only the third movie in history to get 3 of the 4 acting categories. The only other 2 to do it, A Streetcar Named Desire and Network. And the funny thing is, A Streetcar Named Desire, one person you think would have won,
Marlon Brando.
Brando. Yeah, Marlon Brando is the one person that did not win it. So,
oh, I've seen clips of Brando in interviews recently. What a twat! Just what a fucking douchebag.
at what point in his career?
He's
Older
older.
age or?
He's
Oh
older.
yeah, he's a huge dick when he's older. Yeah.
It's just one of those. The more you, if you like Marlon Brando, don't look up more about Marlon Brando. Just watch his
Oh,
movies.
definitely not.
Because you
Yeah,
will be
like,
heartbroken. He's just a prick.
once he's like into Godfather, and after that, he's a huge asshole. Yeah.
Huge prick.
Actually, even in even in the 50s, he's already problematic. But actually, I believe he lost to. I don't know if he's your favorite actor of all time. One of your.
Humphrey Bogart?
Yeah. Or African Queen.
Dude, you know how much I love fucking Bogey. Humphrey Bogart's
Yeah.
awesome.
And then all 5 Best Actor nominees were first-time nominees.
That's great.
Also fun to see. And then, Yo, first Asian to win Best Actress.
Michelle Yeoh.
Yep.
I don't
Love her.
believe in a god, but if you could make me believe in a god, I would believe Michelle Yeoh's proof of a god. That's how much I love Michelle Yeoh. I've been in love with Michelle Yeoh since I was a child. I just every time I see Michelle Yeoh, I get excited. I'm like, yes, fucking love Michelle Yeoh.
So technical changes. There's going to be a running theme for mine.
Okay, animated feature. What wins that category? I cannot recall.
Oh, Pinocchio, Guillermo del Toro.
I have not seen that film, so I can't argue enough. I just think
good.
I love Turning Red, and I think it's a wildly underrated movie. I think it's a very heartfelt movie that tells a much bigger story. So
it's definitely like Guillermo del Toro stylish.
Sure. Again, I've not seen it. I'm not shitting on it. It's just I think Turning Red doesn't get the credit it deserves for being such a heartfelt immigrant story. It's just always seen as this like teenage drama. Oh, the period drama. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not that. It's truly, what does it mean to be a first gen immigrant in this world?
I think Pinocchio deserves the win.
But that was one I had nominations.
Although I should say I haven't seen in Boots, so
can tell you from having to watch part of it as one of the last days of my job.
Yeah, I could have guessed that. It was a joke because I know it's not good.
No. Cinematography. I don't know if it deserves a win, but I like a nomination for Top Gun Maverick. I think the cinematography in that is tremendous.
That's one I have down, and the other one I have down is for the Batman.
The Batman got no fucking love.
I know. That's my running theme here.
I love the idea that the Batman is being championed by the fan of the person who's not nearly as much of a Batman devotee right now. I love that. The Batman's wildly underrated as a film. It just came out at a weird time. Didn't get the love it deserved, and it's incredible. Batman is an incredible film. Adapted screenplay, I would have liked to see a nomination for the Batman.
I wouldn't hate that. Trying to let me see what actually got it. All Quiet on the Western Front. I don't know why Glass Onion got one. It doesn't make sense.
Netflix money.
Top Gun Maverick, I agree with that. And then Women Talking won. Yeah, I mean, I would have taken out Glass Onion.
That was the one I thought about. I was just like, I don't recall that movie being all that great.
At least Joker at best.
I haven't watched the whole thing. That's why I'm saying I don't recall, because I've watched pieces of it.
Knives Out is fine to me.
Knives Out was certainly I got hipster vibes off of, where I just went, I liked Knives Out, but I didn't watch it at first, and then everyone just thought Knives Out was this incredible movie. I'm like, it's fine. It's nothing special. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's
I
a
don't know.
Knives Out, the original Knives Out, is a fun little movie. That's what I would say it is.
Yeah, exactly.
And then
Yeah.
for it to become this whole like Knives Out so fucking incredible, I'm like, okay, let's calm down.
Yeah. So other categories for the Batman that I think it deserves nominations for: art direction and score.
Both are worthy. Both are worthy.
And then I think a nomination and win for makeup or Talk to Me, the horror movie I know I champion a lot,
I'm gonna write that
which you have
down.
not which you have not seen.
Would you like to know,
I
our audience members, would you like to know how much he has championed this movie? He has bypassed me and then went to the boss and texted my wife and said, I really need you to get Evan to watch this movie.
yeah, I might force you to watch it when we have a movie with cousins.
I'm fine with that as long as we can also watch a
It's
family
a nice
classic.
it's a nice breezy 90 minutes, I'm pretty sure.
All right. I'm not against it.
Um,
I want to make it very clear. I've never been against watching the movie. You have championed it so much that it's now become a joke at this point. Like, oh,
um,
Dylan's going to make me watch that movie.
yeah, and then I also have a note down here about this. Less than 10 horror nominations for makeup and 10 horror nominations since an American Werewolf in London created the category in
So fucking
81.
dumb. It's just
And
dumb.
that's like, that just doesn't make sense. Like, horror pretty much is the makeup category.
Well, again, I think we were when we were looking at the 90s specifically. I went back a couple of years just to see trends a little bit. It's fucking period piece dramas that the Academy was just jizzing
They love it.
just jizzing themselves all over for. We're just
Some of
dominating
them I get.
those. And
Some of them I just don't.
I know, but there are some that it's just like they're not doing anything new. They're not doing anything that you haven't seen, and it's a lesser version. And there's something out here that's doing something really cool, really unique, very interesting, that's far more impressive. Why is it constantly period piece bullshit?
And then the other one I have down, original screenplay nomination for Talk to Me. So,
Okay.
so two running themes. Bigger categories. You got the Daniel Kwan and Daniel Scheinert winning for director for Everything Everywhere.
Okay.
Actor, Brendan Fraser, I'll say it correctly, winning for The Whale.
I feel like that's the biggest win of your movie loving career. That's like,
I'm so glad he won. It's so great.
You have been in love with the fucking Mummy since you were a child. That's your like, I told you, I told all of you, I knew it. He's your Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton's been my guy since I was a child, where I went, this man does not get enough respect, and he's finally getting respect.
The thing is, like,
Brendan Fraser's yours.
I would have been completely fine with him or Colin Farrell winning because I have loved both them for so long.
You've been a very big Colin Farrell supporter as well.
Michelle Yeoh winning for Everything Everywhere. Supporting actor, Ki Kwan winning for Everything Everywhere.
Fuck yeah.
Obviously, like, the pinnacle of the night. It's like the greatest moment of the night. When Harrison Ford announced it.
Yes, they knew what. See, that is a gamble that paid off. That was a gamble that they went.
I wouldn't even say it's a gamble because he swept the entire award season.
Yes, but it's one of those that it's not. It's the reverse of the Chadwick Boseman, where someone went,
That's true.
I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to will this into existence. Especially, I'm getting tears in my eyes just thinking about it because Harrison Ford's exterior publicly for like 40 years has been just so gruff and not give a fuck. And unless you get him like really nostalgic about something, he's always just like, who fucking cares? And to see the utter joy in that man's face, to give the approval to Ki Kwan on a win, glorious. It's true emotion. It really is.
And then Jamie Lee Curtis wins for Everything Everywhere. That's the one thing I would change. I think the wrong actress wins for Everything Everywhere. All supporting actress, I would have given it to Stephanie.
What part does she play?
Daughter.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
I think the Jamie Lee Curtis, she's good in it, but like that feels way more like a Lifetime Achievement Award than it does a supporting actress award in
Yeah.
that sense. It's kind of a shame because Stephanie Shu in that movie is like
She's a linchpin of
for
that
one,
film.
exactly. She's like center of the film. Like without her, the movie doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah,
also,
I would have given it to her.
what's funny is when you say the movie doesn't work without her, beyond just her performance, the way she's doing things allows you to accept the bonkers tone of the whole movie. And if she doesn't nail that, the whole rest of the movie just becomes this like cult movie, essentially. It becomes this thing where you just go, like, a niche audience gets it, and they're like, God, did you ever see that sci-fi movie, Everything Everywhere All at Once? Without her performance, yeah, you're right. It's just, the whole thing turns into kind of a schlock of silly stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah. She's like, her range in that movie is incredible.
Yes.
And then just
and
a couple shout outs.
And the question is she going to be able to do anything that...
In Fall Guy.
She was, and I was very happy to see that. But again, she's not playing. She played a pretty small part in that.
Yeah,
I'm
sure she'll be.
I want her to
I'm sure she'll be fine.
I want her to be able to get some bigger stuff out of it. She's a tremendous actress.
Just a couple of shout outs. Tom Cruise in Maverick. I would have loved to see that. I understand why he wasn't. But
I don't understand that at all. Deserved it. He's the man.
Robert Pattinson in the Batman. Would have loved to see it, but I understand why.
Mm-hmm.
Sophie Wilde, who's lead and Talk to Me. A goth in X horror movie.
Yep. I haven't seen it, but I know of it. I know plenty of it.
She plays dual roles in it. Is incredible. She plays an old woman and a lead in it. Like, incredible. It's great in that movie. I also said this earlier. Zoe Saldana never gets the credit she deserves for Avatar.
I could see it. But again, it becomes the mocap conversation. They don't understand how to do mocap.
Yep. And then Paul Dano, I said for supporting actor, either for The Fabelmans or for The Batman, who got nominated. And then Glenn Powell for Top Gun Maverick.
I would have said, or I also could have saw Miles Teller in that as well. Miles Teller's incredible in that movie. I wanted to put Glenn Powell in somehow, as I couldn't figure it out.
Glenn Powell is just charisma.
I mean, I told you we had this conversation on the show. He's one of the few people I think could actually make the movie star thing work, where you could go, I'm going to watch this because I watch movies because Glenn Powell's in them.
Yes. Making it work at this moment. Like, Twisters was a hit because of him.
Mm-hmm.
I fully believe that.
Oh, I agree wholeheartedly.
And then one more, Charin from RRR. I don't know if you've
I don't know what the fuck
Hollywood
that is.
movie. It's on Netflix. Oh, that movie's fucking absolutely bonkers. It's wild.
I will be the first to admit I have yet to watch a Bollywood movie. The things that what people market to me to try to get me to watch a Bollywood movie is not something that appeals to me.
Okay, so RRR is the only Bollywood movie I've ever seen. And I would say, first off, you would watch it in English, which I would say is but best way I would describe it is two superheroes fighting. Oh no, two demigods going at it, fighting like lions and tigers.
What the fuck are you talking about?
absolutely insane. And then you have like it's just absolutely
The
it's
fuck are you
insanity.
talking about right now?
And then they're going up against like the whole British monarchy in India.
What?
It's crazy.
Oh my
Yeah,
god. Okay.
it's insanity. It's
Okay.
like it's crazy. Like you have like them picking up motorcycles at one point, just like with ease and throwing them. It's crazy, but it's great.
Sounds like it.
It's bonkers. And then best picture, Everything Everywhere All at Once win. Other nominees were Elvis, All Quiet on the West Front, and Sheeran, The Fablemans, Top Gun Maverick, Avatar: Way of Water, Star, Triangle of Sadness, and
I have two changes.
Twilight.
I take out Avatar: The Way of Water and I put in the Batman.
Okay.
I don't think Way of the Water is that good. It's way better than the original Avatar. I just don't think it's best picture worthy. And since watching it, I'm very impressed by it. I still think Top Gun Maverick's better than ever. I would have Top Gun
So
Maverick win. That would have been me.
okay, yeah. I mean, I love Top Gun Maverick, so I get it.
Top Gun Maverick's fucking good. Do you know how good you have to be to have the truest representation of a Batman character on screen ever? And it's an incredible film, and it's my number 2 movie of the year. Do you know how incredible of a movie you have to be for that standard? Come on.
I mean, I had 3 changes. I like women talking, but it's more of like a I don't know, it just didn't really connect with me all that much. Obviously, I'm not like the demographic for it either.
Sure.
Just like this religious sect, and it's them breaking off, just the women of the group breaking off, talking about breaking off of the sect, going off on their own. It was fine. Really good ensemble cast, but yeah, I hated Elvis. Despise that movie. I would have taken those 2 out, and Triangle of Sadness. I didn't really love all that much. I kind of had that movie too hyped up for me,
Okay.
so it was real letdown. Replace that with Talk to Me, RRR, and the Batman.
Okay. I've never seen Elvis, and I've never gotten a good vibe off of Austin Butler ever. And I don't think I ever want to see Austin Butler in a movie I want to see.
He's the one good thing about that movie, but like, I'm so glad he didn't win Best Actor, because it feels like a kid doing like
A caricature of it.
yeah, like playing like someone doing like an impression of their dad or something, you know?
Okay.
Like it but like I get it. Like he's good in the movie, but overall I hated that movie. So
I haven't seen it, so I can't judge it off its merits. I want to make that very clear. It just feels like an outward perspective. There's just like this giant machine that's trying to make Austin Butler like a thing. And I'm not here for it. And I don't care.
yeah. Yeah. I could see that.
And that's where I just
Trying
go.
to make him a movie star.
He kind of gives me the ick. I think that's the way it is. He gives me the ick, and I don't need that. I don't need that.
Yeah. Favorite movie? That's a tough choice for me.
It's a huge choice for me as well, but I already said it.
Maverick.
I already said it, so it's Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, Top Gun Maverick, Batman, and Talk to Me.
That's a big trifecta for you. That's a big choice. I think it's got to be Talk to Me though.
I think it is Talk to Me for me.
It's got to be Talk to Me for you. It has to be.
I would have to look at my actual top 100.
That movie is being like, you discuss that movie so much. I truly believe it could be your favorite movie.
No, it's not that. But it is definitely like it's in my top 100. We'll see it.
I
We'll
mean,
talk about it.
the two choices that
So
I just was going between, Top Gun Maverick and the Batman, are in my top 100, and I can tell you they're not near the bottom.
yeah, yeah, I think it would be talk to me. So
Yeah, 2022 was a good year for some stuff,
yeah,
man.
I
Good
actually
year.
would say 2022 is probably the best year in of movies of like the this like century so far.
Wow.
Maybe
2014 was really strong. We really like 2014.
I I just like all those movies. I don't know. I would say I don't know. 2022's got like a
It's my
lot of heavy hitters.
So here's my issue. It's what you said before of the movies I watch. Now
Oh sure.
I'm the popcorn. I'm more of the blockbuster popcorn style movie watcher, far more than the Academy, watcher. And this year also gives me one of the most overrated movies I think I've ever seen, which is Black Panther: Wakanda Forever.
The movie.
It's a mess. Movie's a mess. And the fact that people wanted to tell me it was some great epic, I wasn't here for.
Yeah.
Thor: Love and Thunder fucking sucks and is a textbook way to misuse a talent.
I would agree with that. That movie did suck.
Black Adam was a huge disappointment. And they're like,
I
"Hey,
saw that movie.
it's not good." And the thing is that was hyped up for years and years and years, and for it to become this like weird, it's just like everything about that movie says this guy fucking sucks, but it's The Rock, so he has to be the good guy in the end, but he's not really all that good. It's just like fuck off. And like Jurassic World Dominion, that movie's not good. I didn't even watch Sonic the Hedgehog 2 because I knew it wasn't going to be good. And
I haven't seen
my
I
love
haven't
for
seen
the
any of
character
those,
Sonic the Hedgehog. Like, you know how much I love that character and that genre, but I just can't bring myself to watch it because I'm like, no, it's going to suck. I know it was. That's 2022, though. Let's move it to 2023. That's 2022, though. Let's move it to 2023. Setting the stage for movies. Also, I think this is a hot year as well. Barbie is your number one movie of the year, which I think is well deserved. The Super Mario Brothers movie, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Oppenheimer, The Little Mermaid, Quantum and the Wasp, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Quantumania, there it is, John Wick Chapter 4, Sound of Freedom, Taylor Swift Eras Tour is one of the highest 11 grossing films of the year. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny as well. It's in there. I gotta tell you, the Eras Tour, it's fucking good. It's fucking good. I ain't gonna lie. Made me a Taylor Swift fan. I can't deny that.
Most concert movies are pretty good.
See, I'm not drawn to concert movies most of the time. And especially to an
When I
artist
watch
prior to
them-
that I didn't want to like. And it got me to
when
like her. I
watch
was like,
them-
okay.
Yeah, I watch them. They're usually pretty good. So, yeah. So the ceremony, 3 of the Best Picture nominees, directed by women. So progress. Martin Scorsese becomes the oldest nominee for Best Director at 81 years old. Billie Eilish becomes the youngest person to win 2 Oscars.
Good
She
for
wins
her.
Best Song again.
I got a feeling Billie Eilish is it's kind of just gonna become her thing. And when she disappears for like 6 years in the future, all of a sudden she's gonna make another song for a hit movie, and it's gonna be like, yeah, Billie's gonna win. I fucking love Billie Eilish. Billie Eilish is great.
She's good. I actually really do enjoy most of her music. So, visual effects. That's the one thing I really did want to talk about. Godzilla -1 wins. But one of the really impressive things about Godzilla -1, we'll be talking about it quite a bit this. The entire team that works on this movie is 35 people, and it's a $12 million budget. And it wins the visual effects Oscar. Let me look up the other nominees
Tells you
real quick.
quite a bit. I've yet to watch Godzilla minus one. You're not the only person who's recommended it. It's one of those when I have the time, watch Godzilla minus one.
Other nominees were The Creator, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Mission Impossible 7, and Napoleon. All those
Are
are
huge,
easily
huge.
100 plus million easily. So $12 million budget and they win. Also, one of the awesome things about Godzilla minus, I have it here, Takashi Yamazaki. Oh, Yamazaki. Yeah, Yamazaki, director of Godzilla minus one. He's also the writer of it, and he's also the visual effects supervisor. So what he did, all his artists are working on an open platform in one single room, and he's just going around to each of their computers, just working with them, just going around every single day and just looking at their screens and just supervising them. Like, that's how a director should be. Because in this day and age, if you're not a visual effects supervisor, like this, I watched Corridor Crew's breakdown of Godzilla minus. They point this out. Like, if you're not a visual effects person, like if you just say, I don't know how visual effects really work, you're not the director of the movie at this point.
The
If
VFX
you're
the supervisor is.
like if you're making blockbusters at least, like half your movie is visual effects if you're making blockbusters. So like at this point, you're a co-director at best.
Impressive.
But that's one of the things I wanted to point out. Like, it is.
I didn't know how, I knew it was a smaller team. I didn't know how small it was.
Yes, I didn't know that either. And yeah, considering like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, I mean, there's probably like 5 different visual effects houses working on that with hundreds of visual effects artists in those houses.
Yeah.
Like, it's getting farmed out. Hundreds of shots getting farmed out to the houses. So, yeah, it's impressive that 35 people working on one film.
It's fucking wild. Props to them.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, technical changes. Got any?
I just a nom for makeup and hairstyling for Barbie. I think it's well used in the way that they're using makeup and hairstyling there to not just show like we can do this for fashion, but to show character in a lot of their choices. I think is very fun. And I think just like everything in that movie, the makeup and hairstyling is a lot deeper than the surface level that you're supposed to see with a Barbie. So I would say that'd be my one nom. I can't remember who wins that. But that was the one where I went, I think Barbie deserves some recognition for that.
Yeah, Poor Things, which
I haven't seen Poor Things. I didn't watch a lot. I didn't watch a lot of stuff from 2023.
Yeah, Poor Things actually is deserving of it. Like, that movie's fucking weird as hell. Like, it's like a adult Tim Burton movie is how I would describe it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, very adult Tim Burton at times. So yeah, but the movie's fucking weird. That's the best way I can describe it.
Fair enough, but that was the only technical change
I'll
shout
just
out
run
I
down
had.
a couple of mine. Adapted screenplay would have loved a nomination for Godzilla minus one. Original screenplay, I would have went something that didn't get at all, which was The Holdovers. I love that fucking movie. I just rewatched it.
That is a movie that certainly fell into the everyone saw the preview of it that saw it and went, well, that's Oscar bait. And a lot of people just skipped it because it's like, well, that's Oscar bait.
It's great. That movie's great.
I'm not against it,
I love it
whatsoever. It's just one of those that nothing that year gave more of a wonder what you guys are trying to do vibe than The Holdovers.
And Paul Giamatti's absolutely wonderful in that movie.
I'm just worried about your academic career.
And then another nomination for original screenplay for When Evil Lurks, which is a Mexican horror movie It's a Shudder original. Obviously, had no chance of ever being nominated for an Oscar, but
It deserves recognition.
it's great. It's a really great movie. Cinematography nomination for The Holdovers. It's got a really great like throwback 70s like grainy look to it that I love.
Okay.
Kind of reminds me of Black Christmas a little bit. It's like
Nice.
kind of grungy,
Nice.
kind of like fuzzy. Yeah. And then editing a nomination for Godzilla minus. There's going to be a running theme of Godzilla minus one.
I'm sensing Godzilla -1 is going to be pretty heralded
Yes.
this year for you.
Yes. Oh, bigger categories. You got Christopher Nolan finally winning for Oppenheimer.
Goddamn right.
Cillian Murphy wins for Oppenheimer.
Goddamn right.
Emma Stone wins for Poor Things. Robert Downey Jr., Oppenheimer, and Divine Joy Randolph for The Holdover. 49.
I have no beef with those. Would have liked to see some more recognition for Margot Robbie and Barbie. I think she's incredible in them. She really is. And then
She's great.
I don't recall who's the nominees for supporting actress.
Whoever you, if you say a different winner, you're wrong.
I'm not
Divine
gonna.
Joy Randolph. Oh, I was gonna say Divine Joy Randolph definitely deserves it. Like she's great in that fucking movie. Other nominees were Emily Blunt in Oppenheimer, Danielle Brooks in Color Purple, Erica Ferrera, Barbie, and Jodie Foster in Naiad. I've not seen.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if
that one.
Emily Blunt got a nomination. Emily Blunt's incredible in Oppenheimer. She's tremendous.
She's good. She's good.
I adore when I get random movie scenes on like Instagram, and anytime I see her scene where they're doing the communist interviews, and she's just fucking wrecks Jason Clarke's character by just outdoing him intellectually. I'm like, God, she's so fucking good. Emily Blunt is so likable in that fucking movie. It's ridiculous.
Emily Blunt's likable in everything.
Oh, I mean, Emily Blunt is amazing. I've been in love with Emily Blunt since the first one when I saw her. So yeah, I get it.
Yeah. I was really, really rooting for Lily Gladstone to win for Killers of the Flower Moon. I understand why Emma Stone won for Poor Things, but I would really love to see Lily Gladstone win. I think she would have been the first Native American to win in here, if I'm not mistaken. I can't think of a Native American who won.
I mean, it's a big deal that she was even nominated because a lot of people thought she might not even get nominated for it. So,
well, she's great in that fucking movie. I would have not had Christopher Nolan win. Just
can't wait for you
personal choice.
Can't wait for you to justify this one.
And it's just because I would have went with Godzilla -1, who I just was talking about, the Takashi Yamazaki.
Again, I haven't seen Godzilla -1. From what you just told me, I would understand your logic.
That's why. Once I learned that, that's why I said it. I was like, now knowing how he worked with his crew, that's why. And also, when you see the visual effects breakdowns, you see how little of the actual movie is actually practical. And I was like wildly blown away by like what they were doing. It's like half the movie is like on boats.
Yeah.
But they had 0% of the movie is filmed on water. Literally 0. It's so like,
oh, it's incredible.
So what they did was like they had like part of a boat set, but then instead of like moving the boat set, it would just move the camera to like represent a wave motion.
Yeah.
And then they would have the actors move like, like they did on the old Star Trek shows, like where they're like, whoa, like that.
Yeah.
Like, they would do that.
It's like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, where it's like an explosion. It's just them jumping.
Yeah, and it turns out incredible. Like it works. So
credit too.
Really,
Credit
it
to him.
works in the movie.
Yeah,
Um,
just the wrong year to bark up that tree for me. You know why?
and I totally. I mean, I have no
That
problem
man
with
has been
Christopher
deserving
Nolan.
since 2008 to get a director nomination and win, and he doesn't get it, and it's bullshit. And that's why when you're like,
I,
when he said it, I was like, I know what he's gonna say. I understand why he's gonna say it. I'm not mad at that guy. This is punishment for the past. This is 15 years past fucking
I
overdue.
like. I have no problem with Christopher Oppenheimer. It's a great movie. It's
Also,
just my personal choice
also
after
the
learning all.
I just love Christopher Nolan's reputation of in meme culture to the point where memes were like, "Did you know he actually blew up a nuclear bomb because he's such a
Yeah,
like?" I love that shit. That shit's awesome.
yeah. That is one thing I don't like about some of the stuff that goes out there, though, about like some of his movies. Though, it's like people get the wrong idea about like, oh, it's all 100% practical. Like
No,
that's not even close to real. No, that's a insult to all the visual effects artists that work on him.
yeah,
And a lot of the stuff on Barbie was the same way, where they said there was no visual effects, and it's like that's really insulting
yeah,
to all the people that work on that fucking movie.
yeah,
So yeah, it always bugs me when they say shit like that.
yeah. I'm glad
Uh,
they don't, but like
Christopher Nolan loves to say how much of
Oppenheimer,
his movies are
he
practical.
softened because he couldn't argue it that time. He's like, I obviously didn't do that. Like,
But he loves to say how much of his movies are practical. I always get bugged when he does that because it's like,
yeah, in the wrong context, it does sound pretty bad. I will be the first to admit that. Because in the right context, he's like, oh, I want to do it as much as practical as possible. I think it gives a lot more reality and grip to the
that's what
movie.
I'm fine with him saying
When
that.
you do that, I'm great. But yeah, when you go into the lens of what you're saying and where it's like, oh yeah, there's barely any visual effects in this movie, you're like,
Yeah,
come on,
that's
dog.
not even close to true. Yeah. Best Picture winner Oppenheimer. Other nominees:
Well
American
deserved.
Fiction, Anatomy of a Fall, Barbie, The Holdovers, Killers of the Flower Moon, Maestro, Past Lives, Poor Things, Zone of Interest.
No changes whatsoever. We're good. Justice was finally done.
I have changes here. I don't love Barbie,
I would disagree
so
with you entirely on that one. I think Barbie's incredible.
I think it's just a fun, enjoyable movie, but I don't think it's Best Picture
I,
level. It's
I
the same thing I have with Black Panther. I'm like, yeah, it's just a fine, enjoyable movie.
I would
Like,
disagree with that because I think Black Panther loses a lot of its impact at the end of the movie. Where I think Barbie is so subversive into what it's doing a lot of the time that I think it keeps that going. Where Black Panther, like we talked about in the last episode, the third act's a
oh,
mess.
I the third act sucks. Yeah,
I think Barbie does not have that problem. I think Barbie stays strong the entire time and really speaks to the human condition of women in society that I think it deserves that.
yeah. I guess I could see that. Just personally, I just didn't. Just a fine.
Wasn't your cup of tea at that level?
Yeah. It- Also, I replaced it with a
Godzilla
movie
minus one.
that was was never. No, I replaced Barbie and Maestro. Maestro is another movie that just like talk about awards bait. Like that movie is it's fine. That's another movie that is just fine. Like Bradley Cooper is good in the movie. So is Carey Mulligan, but that's all I'll say for that. Like other than that, it's fucking fine.
That was another one that just screamed, "Wow, I wonder what you guys are trying to do here."
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, Godzilla minus one of my replacements. The other one was When Evil Lurks. Again, a movie that was never going to get any love, but it's a movie that I think deserves some love, deserves a shout out.
Fair enough.
Also, a movie that I should have said for makeup and hairstyling, although I don't know what I would consider it. It's like a lot of weird puppetry and stuff.
Huh.
I don't know if that would be like makeup and hairstyling.
I don't think
I don't
that's
know
makeup
what
and
that would go
hairstyling.
down as. Yeah,
Yeah, be interesting to see what that would be.
yeah.
Favorite movie of the year?
Godzilla minus.
Mine would be Barbie. I think Barbie's so fucking intelligent.
Really?
I love
Huh.
Barbie. I knew you
I
thought it'd
was
be
ex-
Oppenheimer, and
yeah.
Oppenheimer's incredible. Barbie has a rewatchability where legitimately I had no interest in Barbie. I was like, oh, that could be fun. It did bring a lot of joy that, for those who haven't heard this on the show already, my wife is an OBGYN, and the whole residency crew that she had went to Barbie, and of course that last line, like all seven of them were like fucking screaming and clapping, and everyone's like, "What?" And they all have Barbie's gynecologist shirts on, so it's like they didn't even know that line was happening, and they're like, "Hey!" So there is a little bit of love that way as well. But I saw Barbie for the first time and went, "Holy shit, this movie's fucking smart. I adore
Oh
this."
yeah.
And then
I mean,
I remember we went on a cruise in August, and I was sitting in the room just being like, I don't know, there's a lot of movies I can watch, and I don't really want to do anything else right now. So I was like, you know what, I want to watch Barbie again. And I watched it immediately and just went, I'll watch this movie again. I don't fucking care.
yeah.
I'm always
I
excited to rewatch Barbie, where Oppenheimer, I love Oppenheimer. I was so thrilled to watch it, but I have to mentally prepare myself to go
yeah.
watch Oppenheimer
That's
again.
also a 3-hour movie.
Exactly. I'm like, I know how good it is, but I've yet to rewatch it because I'm always excited, like, oh, I should go watch Oppenheimer. And I'm always like, oh, I gotta
Yeah.
prepare for this. This is half a day.
Yeah, Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach also completely deserve a nomination for screenplay. I
Yeah.
don't know why they got it in adapted screenplay. That doesn't make any sense to me.
I think it's solely because they used former written material from Barbie descriptions. And there's been
It doesn't make
Barbie.
sense.
There's been Barbie. I'm trying to make. I agree with you. I think the
It doesn't
only
just
justification
yeah.
I can think of is there's been Barbie animated stuff that plays with not those vibes.
And
Obviously, I'm literally pulling at strings trying to
yeah.
understand why that would be done.
But to talk about Godzilla minus, I have never cared for Godzilla ever.
Yeah, you
I
haven't. That's
don't
true.
like Godzilla. I don't care about Godzilla movies at all. Like the one that I liked the most was the 2014 one,
Yeah.
and I think that movie is Joker at best. So when I went into this one, because I watched it only because it won the Oscar,
Yeah.
and I just watch everything that wins an Oscar. I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch it. Like, sure, whatever. And then I was like, holy fucking shit, I love this fucking movie. Like, I was blown away. It is so awesome.
If it works, it works, man. If it
Yeah.
works, it works.
And then one movie that I really wanted to love, but I think got a little overhyped, was The Zone of Interest.
Okay.
Because it was really right up my alley. It was set at Auschwitz. It was like about Rudolf Hess, the commandant
Yeah.
there. It's like, oh, that sounds right up my alley. But then a bit of a letdown.
I know how this is going to sound to people. It's not meant to be derisive. I don't ever need to see another Nazi Germany concentration camp. I don't need to see another one. I think a lot of beauty's already been made in art from that, and I don't know if we need
Yeah.
more.
Well, you can't top Schindler's List ever. So, yeah, I would agree with you.
It's just one of those that I just kind of go, I'm okay. I don't need, personally speaking, I don't need this. I understand why it's
Although,
made. I'm not trying
Zone
to
of Interest, the Zone of Interest did win Best Sound, which was really awesome because, like, it is just them living a normal life, and then you hear all the stuff in the background.
yeah.
You never actually see anything going on in the camp, which is kind of cool.
I mean, it's an
So,
interesting way
like,
to handle it. I'll give them that.
yeah.
But yeah, that would be 2023, and that wraps up our Oscar reviews. This has been the first big project that we've actually finished.
Oscar nominations have not come out yet. as of recording.
As of recording, we are going to be covering the Oscar nominations, and then we're going to have some reactions post wins to see how we feel about all that. Where Dylan's going to give his Oscar nominations for what he knows as best he possibly can. If I can contribute, I will. But
I don't know how many of the movies I'll actually be able to see beforehand because not that many are actually available.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But we will have some Oscar reactions as well as Oscar predictions. So it's going to be a heck of a lot of fun. But that has been our Oscar review of 2019 through 2023. We have a lot of fun projects on the way. Stay in touch with that. I hope you're enjoying Top 100 series. This episode's going to come out, I think, 2 weeks prior to our 90 through 81. So check out our Top 100 series of our Top 100 movies of all time. You can see some wildly different lists there. Already you can see the deviations in how we watch movies and how we appreciate movies. And a lot of other fun things coming your way. So enjoy that. But thank you guys so much for listening and watching to this program. We appreciate it for Dylan and myself. Thank you. Go watch a great movie, young people and old people everywhere. Peace, love, and hugs to you all. Goodbye!